Have you ever felt trapped by the mirror, analyzing every imperfection, every curve that doesn't fit the mold dictated by society? If the answer is yes, know that you are not alone. In a world bombarded by retouched images and unrealistic bodies, body dissatisfaction has become a silent epidemic. Research reveals that over 80% of women are unhappy with their appearance, and this incessant pursuit of perfection takes a heavy toll. Anxiety, depression, eating disorders, and low self-esteem. The pressure to conform to aesthetic standards is an invisible force that traps us in a vicious cycle of comparisons and insecurities, stealing our energy, our joy, and our self-confidence. Imagine if we could break these chains, free ourselves from imposed standards, and finally love ourselves as we are. Follow Maria's journey, a 19-year-old who, like so many others, felt lost in this labyrinth of distorted mirrors. Her search for self-acceptance is an invitation for you to also find yourself and discover the unique beauty that exists within you. Maria's alarm clock rang, but she remained in bed, staring at the ceiling. Laziness wasn't the only reason for her reluctance to start the day. It was actually the bathroom mirror that intimidated her. Every morning, the same ritual: get up, face her reflection, and mentally list everything that was wrong with her body. Thighs too thick, a stomach that stubbornly refused to be perfectly flat, pimples that insisted on appearing. The list seemed endless. Maria sighed and put on the first clothes she found, trying to disguise the parts of her body that bothered her most. At college, the feeling of inadequacy followed her like a shadow. While her friends chatted excitedly about the latest fashion trends, Maria felt out of place. She constantly compared herself to other girls, with their seemingly perfect bodies and confident smiles. With each photo posted on social media, Maria's insecurity intensified. She spent hours editing her own pictures, trying to approach the ideal of beauty she saw online. Restrictive diets and exhausting exercise routines became part of her routine, in the hope of achieving the much-dreamed-of perfection. That Friday, the insecurity reached a new level. Maria saw a picture of her friend, Julia, at a party. Julia wore a tight dress that accentuated her curves and sported a radiant smile. The photo was full of likes and complimentary comments. Beautiful, gorgeous, goddess. Maria felt a tightness in her chest. The comparison was inevitable. She felt like an ugly duckling next to Julia, an elegant swan admired by all. At that moment, the prison of the mirror seemed more suffocating than ever. The picture of Julia hammered in Maria's head. She caught herself, for the 1,000th time that day, analyzing her reflection in the college bathroom mirror. Will I ever be as pretty as her? She thought, feeling a lump in her throat. The search for external validation became an obsession. Maria posted carefully edited photos on social media, craving likes and comments that would make her feel, at least for a moment, beautiful and desirable. With each notification, a fleeting dose of satisfaction, followed by a new wave of insecurity. It was like a drug, an addiction that trapped her in an endless cycle of seeking approval. The pressure to conform didn't just come from social media. Comments, even without malicious intent, reinforced her insecurities. "You're so skinny," said her mother, worried about the restrictive diets. "That outfit makes you look fat," commented an aunt, unaware of the impact of her words. Even compliments seemed loaded with an implicit subtext. "You look beautiful today," as if beauty were a temporary state, a fragile achievement that could disappear at any moment. Maria began to avoid social situations. Parties, meeting friends, even dance classes, which were once her passion, became a burden. The idea of being observed, analyzed, and compared to other women terrified her. She hid behind baggy clothes and flimsy excuses, building a wall around herself. Loneliness became her only companion, a reflection of the prison she herself had built, brick by brick, fueled by insecurity and the incessant search for validation that never seemed enough. The prison of the mirror had expanded, imprisoning not only her body but also her soul. On a cold night, surfing the internet aimlessly, Maria came across a blog called Florescer, Blooming Flourishing. The title, simple and delicate, caught her attention. The page was a space dedicated to discussing self-image, self-esteem, and female empowerment. Inspiring texts, stories of overcoming, and practical tips for cultivating self-love filled the virtual space. Maria felt an immediate connection, as if she had found an oasis amidst the desert of insecurities that she inhabited. One post, in particular, captivated her. The beauty of imperfection. The text talked about the importance of embracing differences, of recognizing that beauty is not limited to a single, imposed standard. The author argued that true beauty lies in authenticity, in the uniqueness of each individual. Maria read the text several times, feeling the words resonate within her like a mantra. For the first time, she allowed herself to question the beauty standards that imprisoned her. Was it possible to love herself, even without having the perfect body? The search for content related to self-acceptance became a new obsession, a healthy obsession that propelled her out of the prison of the mirror. Maria discovered podcasts that discussed the media's influence on body image construction, books that helped her understand the importance of mental health, and online support groups where women shared their stories of overcoming. She immersed herself in this universe of knowledge, absorbing every piece of information like a sponge. Little by little, the seed of self-acceptance began to germinate in her heart. Maria realized that beauty was not a trophy to be won, but a flower to be cultivated within herself. Beauty was in the strength of her smile, the intelligence in her eyes, the kindness of her gestures. It was in her story, in her scars, in her imperfections. It was, finally, in being who she was, without masks, without filters, without disguises. The journey towards self-love was long, but Maria had finally found the way. Maria's immersion in the world of self-acceptance opened her eyes to the manipulation behind the beauty industry. She began to look critically at the images that bombarded her daily. Models with unrealistic bodies, digitally retouched faces, advertisements selling the illusion of perfection. Maria realized that the beauty portrayed in the media was, most of the time, an artificial construct, a product manufactured to fuel dissatisfaction and consumption. The statistics she found in her research were alarming. 91% of women were dissatisfied with their bodies and would like to change something about their appearance. With each new miracle diet, each new cosmetic procedure, the beauty industry profited millions, while female self-esteem dwindled. Maria understood that the incessant pursuit of perfection was a losing game, a trap that kept her stuck in a cycle of frustration and insecurity. She began to question the beauty standards imposed by society. Why was a thin body considered the ideal? Why was smooth, unblemished skin synonymous with beauty? Who had defined these standards? The answer was clear: a society that profited from female insecurity. Maria realized that diversity was true beauty, that each body was unique and special. With its curves, its marks, its stories, representation became a banner for Maria. She started following profiles on social media that celebrated real beauty, with women of different ethnicities, ages, sizes, and body shapes. Seeing real women, without retouching and without filters, inspired her to accept herself as she was. With each image, each story of overcoming, Maria felt stronger and more confident. She was deconstructing the standards that imprisoned her, brick by brick, building in their place a solid foundation of self-love and self-acceptance. Deconstructing standards was the first step. Now Maria needed to rebuild herself, brick by brick, discovering the unique beauty that existed within her. The path of self-discovery was not easy, but with each step, Maria felt stronger and more confident. She began to pay attention to her thoughts, identifying and combating the negative voices that put her down. To each criticism, she responded, with a compliment, learning to silence the voice of insecurity and amplify the voice of self-love. One of the exercises Maria found in her studies was the list of qualities. She took a notebook and began to write down everything she admired about herself: her intelligence, her creativity, her sense of humor, her empathy. The list, which at first seemed timid, grew, revealing an incredible woman that Maria had never fully seen before. With each new quality discovered, a smile spread across her face, a genuine smile that came from the inside out. Another exercise that helped her was gratitude for her body. Maria began to give thanks for everything her body was capable of doing: walking, dancing, breathing, feeling. She learned to value the functionality of her body instead of focusing only on aesthetics. With each movement, each sensation, Maria connected with her essence, recognizing the beauty of her own existence. Taking care of herself became an act of love, a daily ritual of affection and respect for her body and mind. She began to eat healthily, not to fit a standard, but to nourish her body with the energy it needed. The practice of physical exercise ceased to be an obligation and became a way to celebrate the star. Maria's journey of self-acceptance was not solitary. She found support in an online group of women who shared the same anxieties and the same desires for change. There, in a safe and welcoming space, Maria felt comfortable sharing her insecurities, her achievements, and her doubts. With each testimony, each word of encouragement, she felt stronger and more connected. The group became a fundamental support network for Maria. She realized that she was not alone in her fight against the pressure to conform to aesthetic standards. Sharing her experiences with other women who understood her was liberating. The stories of overcoming inspired her, the advice guided her, and the solidarity strengthened her. Maria learned to value the importance of having people around her who supported and accepted her as she was, without judgments and without comparisons. In addition to the online group, Maria also sought support from her family and close friends. She talked to her mother about her insecurities, and to her surprise, discovered that she too had faced similar challenges in her youth. The conversation was a turning point. Maria realized that the pressure to conform affected women of all ages, and that unity and mutual support were essential to break this cycle. With a solid support network, Maria felt more confident to face the challenges that were yet to come. She knew she was not alone, and that together, they were stronger. Weeks later, Maria found herself in a familiar situation: a party, loud music, friends gathered. Julia was there, radiant as always, in a dress that enhanced her beauty. Maria felt a slight discomfort, a memory of the insecurity that had imprisoned her for so long. But this time, the feeling was fleeting. She took a deep breath, adjusted her dress, which for the first time didn't feel like a disguise, but a celebration of her body, and walked towards her friends. Maria enjoyed the party, danced, laughed, and talked. She didn't worry about being the center of attention, nor about comparing herself to other women. She was there to have fun, to celebrate life, to be herself. At one point, Julia approached her and complimented her. "Maria, you look beautiful." The compliment, which would have previously fueled her insecurity, now sounded genuine, welcoming. Maria smiled, a true smile that came from within, and thanked her. She no longer needed external validation to feel beautiful. The beauty that emanated from her was the beauty of self-acceptance, confidence, and freedom. The prison of the mirror had been destroyed. Maria had freed herself from standards, comparisons, and insecurities. She was the owner of herself, owner of her body, owner of her story. The journey had not been easy, but the reward was immeasurable. The freedom to be who she was, without masks, without filters, without disguises. Maria's journey is a reflection of the journey of many women. The pressure to conform to aesthetic standards is an oppressive force, but not invincible. Beauty is not limited to a single, imposed standard. It resides in diversity, in authenticity, in the uniqueness of each individual. Love yourself, take care of yourself, respect yourself. You are beautiful, exactly as you are. May Maria's story inspire you to break the chains of insecurity and discover the strength and beauty that exist within you. Blossom